Welcome to Ballot Meridian election coverage on HOMTV. I'm Julie Dunmeyer. Joining us for this candidate interview is Patricia Herring Jackson, Democratic candidate for Meridian Township Trustee. Welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself quickly for our audience?
My name is Patricia Herring Jackson. I'm a 29-year resident of Meridian Township, and on the November the 8th ballot, I am a candidate for a trustee in Meridian Township. Currently, I serve as a member of the Planning Commission in Meridian Township and a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Great, thank you. Each trustee candidate will be asked a standard list of 10 questions. Let's get started with question number 1. What qualifications do you bring to the position of Township Trustee?
As I just said, I've lived here for 29 years. I've enjoyed all 29 of those years in all of my roles here, but particularly I've enjoyed working for the last 16 years as a member of the Planning Commission and the last 5 years as a member of both the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals. And so I think those attributes and apparently my longevity qualify me for a bigger role in the township as a trustee.
Okay. Our next question is question number 2. What major changes do you believe residents would like to see in the near future?
In the nearest future, I think that the residents would like to see the end of the campaign, the campaign process, and because I find them distracting from the business of running the township and solving the township's problems. I think they will enjoy and certainly look forward to a return to responsible government, open discussion and open participation, communications, better communications between the township and the township government and its people.
Okay. Question number 3. If elected, what steps would you take to address residents' transportation concerns, including Ready Ride services and CATA's proposed bus rapid transit project?
Well, already I support the actions that have been taken by the current board relative to those, or that are being taken by the current board relative to those issues. The board is in the process of creating a commission, a transportation commission for itself that will, as I understand it, review and catalog township issues and concerns about overall transportation services in the township. And so at this point, and if elected as a member of the board, I expect to support continuation of those efforts for creating that board and having it function to inform other decisions made by the Township Board and even the Planning Commission relative to transportation. In terms of CATA, I also support the action taken by the board already to express their displeasure and removal of support for the current design of the BRT in Meridian Township. And so I would expect as a member of the board to work with both the board and the citizens of Meridian Township, even in the form of a transportation committee, and CATA to better define how modernized transit comes to Meridian Township to better meet the needs and the desires of the people who live here.
Okay. Question number 4, excuse me. Meridian Township's branding campaign is in its final stages. Once revealed, how do you plan to champion the new brand?
I don't know how you champion a brand. I'm anxious to see what the end result of this process is, and I think maybe the role of a a leader, like a member of the township board, would be to ensure that the brand that is arrived at incorporates effectively the values represented in Meridian Township and by the people of Meridian Township. And so after that is accomplished, you know, the brand is adopted or not, or changed, and it becomes a part of who we are, to ensure that our values are represented appropriately by whatever symbols there are, and then try to make sure that we use it effectively to define our community and to bring it together for our general welfare.
Okay, question number 5. What essential functions of the township would you like to see improved and why?
Improved, probably communications, better and more open communications between the township government, the township services, and the public. Maybe, well, communications in a lot of different ways is probably the thing that I think could use more improvement. There are lots of resources to facilitate open and better communications back and forth across the township and with the different factions. And I think that we can improve how we all use them to inform and to learn from and progress.
Okay, question number 6. Does your campaign best reflect Meridian Township's vision statement as written in the board policy manual, which states to achieve and maintain the highest quality of life for our residents?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure I understand what it means, but in my experiences over the last few months, I have learned how individuals define highest quality of life for themselves, and some of what they think is needed to help them realize their greatest lifestyle, or best lifestyle and highest quality of life.
Okay, question number 7. The township, much like other municipalities across the state, is facing a huge pension liability. What direction would you like to see the board take on this pension funding if elected?
First of all, I think it's a rather frightening issue to have to confront, but I think it has many moving parts. And so the first thing many moving parts actually that need to be addressed. I think that we need a plan and strategies that first stop the bleeding, you know, kind of. My understanding is that the liability is growing at a very rapid pace. And so one of the things we need to do as soon as possible is stop that growth in indebtedness. Another thing that we need to do as quickly as we can is develop new strategies for providing the pension benefits to our employees, and strategies that are designed to keep us out of these kinds of pit holes in the future. And thirdly, we need to, as soon as possible, eliminate that debt. It's a big debt, and it has the potential to impede or inhibit our ability to address our future goals and our ability to deliver services to our residents. And so those three areas or aspects of that issue need to be addressed as soon as possible and as effectively and efficiently as possible.
Now for question number 8. How do you plan to strengthen relationships between the township and the business districts to promote growth?
Well, I think that in recent years, the township has gone rather far in offering in providing resources to the business community to enhance their abilities to function in the township by the addition of a staff member who is very highly focused on promoting business development and inviting and facilitating township processes for the business community. Other things that the township has done and is doing and can do is to review and modernize our procedures, our regulations, so that they assist the business community in doing what it is they do and promote investment in our communities.
Okay, question number 9. What approach do you propose to address issues such as blight within underdeveloped and/or vacant properties within the township?
So I, for one, am not, I guess, sufficiently aware of the degree that the level at which blight exists in our township. And so I would hope that the first thing we do is to assess the extent that blight does exist, to catalog it, to then begin to probably elevate our code enforcement efforts, and then find and develop programs where the township government in some form can assist residents and property owners in eliminating blight in our community.
Okay, question number 10. What goals would you like to see the township accomplish in the next 5 years?
Wow, let's see. In the next 5 years, I would like to see us accomplish probably those goals outlined in the master plan that we've been working on. Certainly the completion of our updating of our master plan should be accomplished sometimes much sooner than 5 years from now. I'd like to see us become a more engaged community, a more, I'd like to see more common participation, more group participation, therefore more excitement and vibrancy and so forth. Certainly a healthier community relative to our finances and our ability to deliver the levels of services that our residents expect.
All right. At this time, we finished the standard list of questions with Patricia Herring Jackson, who's a Democratic candidate for Meridian Township Trustee. We have some time remaining, and I have some follow-up questions if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
For starters, is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you're passionate about that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I think I might add that I think it's important for a township board and a township in general to, at this time, promote the revitalization, the redevelopment of particular areas, particularly commercial areas in our township. And to, but there are also, as you noted in your question about blight, there are also obviously residential areas, more residential areas that need the same kind of attention. And so what I believe can be done from the level of the township board is certainly to encourage and promote and to find new ways to facilitate that revitalization, redevelopment, and the like. And they do that by in the form of ordinances and regulations that relate to development. They do that in the form of, for example, the person we were talking about, facilitating our relationship with the business community and encouraging their partnership with the rest of the township in achieving some of those objectives.
Okay. You mentioned wanting to improve communications between the township board and the public. Mm-hmm. What types of issues do you think aren't being adequately communicated to residents of Meridian Township?
I think one of the things that I think is not being adequately communicated is what the public thinks about the issues that the board and the commissions and even the administration of the township deal with. So feedback is probably one of the things that I think could be improved. There are many different avenues presented to us to use to communicate with each other. Because I think the communications department at Meridian Township is fabulous. I mean, they know how to do everything as far as I can tell, but I don't think that the public and other constituencies use them well enough to tell us, what they're thinking, what they think about what is going on and what they think we're doing, and thus use those avenues to engage in the work of the township.
So you would like to see more resident feedback,
right,
from that. All right, and you've got almost 2 decades experience on the Planning Commission.
Ooh, when you put it that way.
How do you feel that adds to your role as a potential trustee?
I've met a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people talk about their concerns about very specific kinds of things. I've learned a lot from about the history of the township, about the history of township government, all of those kinds of things. And so I think I'm all of that exposure and involvement, engagement, and those conversations have helped prepare me for a role in broader township issues such as those encountered at the board level.
Great. And a big topic is downtown Okemos and getting people into downtown Okemos. What would you like to see in downtown Okemos?
Well, at this point, I'd like to see what the draft master plan is proposing, which is a type of development that's more dense and more active, more pedestrian oriented, and that has a character that draws people to that area. And we have a lot of resources in that area that enrich our lives, the parks and the sidewalks and the green space and the trees and all of those kinds of things. That's one of several areas that the proposed master plan focuses on for development, both for the benefit of the population and the business interests and the business investment here. And so that's the kind of, I certainly would like to stop seeing the abandoned building that's been partially dismantled there. So, and thus replaced by people and activities and resources that make us all proud of where we are and how we work together to improve our environment.
Okay, and you said that you want to see the community more engaged. What do you mean by that? Do you think that there's a divide in the Meridian Township community?
No, I'm not speaking about divide. I'm thinking about active participation in the governing of Meridian Township. So, sometimes as a planning commission, we've called for stakeholders to come in and tell us what you think and help us decide what it is we want, what is your vision of who we are and what we want to become. And we get excellent participation by a small number of people for a community that's 40,000 strong, nearly 40,000 strong. And so I'm a strong believer in public participation and in open discussions that lead us all to concessions and agreement about where we should be going and what we should be doing.
What do you think in terms of development? How do we plan that in a way that's strategic and that builds for the township for the better?
Well, how we're trying to do that at this point is to create a vision which we record in our master plan. This is an idealized plan, let's say an idealized vision that incorporates certain goals and objectives that we think define who we are and how we want to live and how we want people who live here in the future to live. And so the master plan that we're working on has focused particularly on 3 areas that probably need revitalization, redevelopment, and suggested ways in which we do that, we achieve that, but doing that in a way that holds to our values of environmental sensitivity, our values of walkability, as you noted before, the highest levels of the highest quality of life that we think we can achieve with the resources that we have. And so that's how you do it. You keep all of those things in mind while you build or change or whatever you do to the land and the environment.
All right. Yeah, because I think something that a lot of residents would appreciate is a board with an insight on their feedback. What ways can residents, or what ways do you think would be more effective than saying, come on out to this meeting to get people to communicate with the boards?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I think that well-organized and focused discussions or opportunities for discussion and idea exchange, certainly non-contentious environments, and inviting opportunities where people feel welcomed and appreciated when they come to communicate with their public officials or boards and commissions and those kinds of things. I hope that would be enough. It may not. But then, we have these resources which allow for very fast, even anonymous and convenient opportunities for people to communicate with the township. And maybe we just need to plan a little differently of how they work and encourage people to use them to tell us what they think.
All right, well, thank you so much. We have a few minutes remaining if you'd like to make a closing statement.
I will close by saying that I've been around Meridian Township for a long time, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my work here, the people I've worked with. I enjoy the challenges that I have encountered, and I think that all of these things together make me particularly qualified, or certainly one of the most qualified candidates in this race for Township Trustee. And I hope that the public agrees and will vote for me in the November 8 election.
All right, well, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
This has been a candidate interview with Patricia Herring Jackson, Democratic candidate for Meridian Township Trustee. I'm Julie Dunmeyer, inviting you to watch Ballot Meridian election coverage right here on HOMTV.